right. Welcome, everybody. There looks like there are several folks that are already on. We'll give folks a few minutes to join. For those of you that are just coming on, we just had our TouchPoint virtual Christmas team lunch, which was pretty awesome. Haley kind of emceed it with the marketing team. So thanks for hosting us, Haley.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. My favorite part, and I wanted to share this for anybody who might be having an upcoming lunch with their teams or anything. My favorite part of what you had planned for us was we played Guess Who. You know that game? We obviously know that game because we just played it. I should have grabbed it because it's literally in the next room. But we played Guess Who, which is the game where you've got the box of, I don't know, it's probably 25 or 36 or 64 or some number of characters. Maybe it's, I don't know how many it is. And they all have different characteristics. And so you have so many guesses to try and narrow it down to the person that your opponent selected, and they're trying to keep you from guessing them. So you can say like, this person is wearing glasses, and they would say yes or no. And then everybody would turn off their video screen who didn't meet that criteria or that qualification. So it was a lot of fun. Like we could say, this person has a virtual background on, or this person, works in Dallas or Memphis or Mexico City, or those are some of our cities that we have concentrations of people in. I thought that was a blast. It was totally fun.
It was a lot of fun.
That might have not been the total highlight from the lunch because there were some pretty great highlights, but we won't share all the highlights. Another highlight.
The bingo was much harder than I thought it would be.
It was hard.
So it was
Well,
good.
tell us about the bingo.
Yeah, there were different squares for either things that we had done, or it was all Christmas themed. So things like who's wearing a Santa hat, or even sayings, like people saying that saying on the call. You got to mark that bingo square, and there were, the obvious diagonal straight line. I loved there was like a Santa hat or a four corners, way you could win. So there were some fun creative games we played.
My favorite for the bingo, one of the I don't know if you should say clues, but it was like if a dog appears on the screen, and so then Braun gave he pulled out a dog treat and pulled his dog into view.
And then Nonzo, one of the mobile developers, I don't think he really took his sock off, but one of the clues was like a stocking in the background, and nobody had a stocking in the background, and he like stuck like a pin in the wall or something. You put a sock
with a real sock.
So we could check that one. And we all had different cards. It was fun. That must have taken forever to create those.
It didn't take that long, but Katie and I, we tag teamed it.
It was super creative. It was a lot of fun. We'll give folks about another minute to join, and we'll start at that 5-minute mark, but it looks like we've got a good crew on board. So yeah, those were fun. It's always fun getting on Zoom. Another thing that we've done kind of throughout the years, we'll like carve out the first, I don't know, sometimes we'll go a while, but like where everybody will share a picture since the last meeting, like something that's been going on in your life and things like that. So we get to see people's, just a glimpse into their vacations, their families, nieces and nephews and kids and all that kind of stuff. That's probably been my favorite thing this year, just from our time together with company meetings and the team on Zoom when we can't be together. All right. Should we jump in? I think normally our webinars typically go like 30 or 45 minutes, depending on Q&A and stuff. Our year end one we typically do, it's more informal. Just a time to get together and be together, share a little bit personally and the work that we get to do. If you've spent any time with TouchPoint, you know that we see our work as an extension of your ministry. We actually just see it as ministry. We feel like we are in partnership with you, doing ministry, and we're super grateful for it. And so I wouldn't want to start anywhere other than just saying thank you for letting, for being our partner churches. Thank you for letting us in to be a part of your teams. Sometimes that's just technology, and sometimes that's, we get to sit around the table and dream together about how to be on mission, how to spread the hope and the good news that we've got. And so thank you for letting us be a part of that. It's really meaningful and important to us. So we're going to go, I'm going to share just a little bit about our agenda today. I don't know how long we're going to go, but it'll probably be about 30 minutes, give or take. We're going to go around and share just updates from our teams. And we invited Haley in kind of last minute today. We're like, you need to join us. So thank you, Haley, for joining, but we'll share team updates. We typically do Q&A at the end of our time. You're welcome to put questions or thoughts or anything in the chat, or send them to us directly. We probably won't do a formal Q&A at the end of this because we're not necessarily covering any specific topics, but if there's anything that we can, that comes to mind for you that we can dialogue about or answer questions about, don't hesitate to put them in there, and we'll follow up with you on any specific Q&A that comes in through chat or any of that. So we're grateful for your partnership. You have helped us. As I look back over the last year, we value service and innovation, and that'll be a theme that hopefully you hear today, and hopefully you hear with your interactions with us and with our team. Our best innovation, I think, comes when we are sitting at the table with you and just dreaming together. Yesterday, I was on a call with Concord for a little over an hour, and we had a lot of great ideas. We were out at Fielder like a couple weeks ago, and they've got some new folks on their team over there. And we were dreaming up great ideas while having lunch at Chili's together. It's really a time where we get to learn. So we're going to share some of those learnings today. And if there are things that you're in the back of your mind, you're wondering like, do they do this? I don't know if they do this, or have they thought about this, or we're seeing ministry done in a new way. Drop those ideas in the chats too, because we want to stimulate and foster a culture of learning and a culture of innovation. So please join us in that pursuit. Hopefully you will see that we've got a heart for service. We'll get into that when we talk about the services team, and we're grateful to be on mission with you. But before we get into our team updates, we wanted to spend just a couple minutes and share just a little bit personally from our lives as we look back over the past year. I'll start, and then Haley, I'll hand it off to you, and then you can hand it off to Chris. But as I look back, I shared some, for those of you that were at Summit, shared some about some of my, my passions in life around adventure, climbing and surfing and stuff like that. But what I've been up to since Summit, my wife and I, Kara and I, serve at our church where we've been for 21 years. We've served most of that time in the marriage ministry. The last 10 or so years, we've counseled newly married couples. And what that looks like at our church, it's a big commitment from the couples that join us, and for us too. We meet every week or every other week, and we spend a couple hours with, this time it's with 5 couples. So the 12 of us all get together, probably 2 or 3 times a month, where we go through curriculum and we talk about, all the questions that you've got as newly married couples. It's budgets and living together, and how do you conflict well, and how do you communicate well, and what are some signs that we're not communicating well or not doing these things well. And so we just started that journey about a month or 2 ago with the 12 of us. So we're going to be doing that for the next probably 2 years. I'm super passionate about it. I love it. Karen and I have been married for 23 years. Next anniversary will be number 24. And it's just kind of where our hearts are with our church. So we're grateful to serve there. So that's maybe something I'm excited about right now on the personal side. Before we jump in, Haley, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. So we just got, and I say we, it was my husband Will, which I think a lot of people on the call know. He leads the client success team here at TouchPoint. We took our boys to Disney last month, so that was something that we look forward to. If you've been to Disney, there's a lot of planning that's usually involved, so we look forward to that for most of the year. So we took our 3.5-year-old and our 1.5-year-old, and the 3.5-year-old it was just such a joy for us to see him meeting the characters. The 1.5-year-old, he just cared about the food really, but it was a blast. Something that we are looking forward to. We're in our 3rd trimester now with our 3rd one, gender unknown. We'll find out in early March what this baby is. I say 3rd and final. If you ask Will, he might say something different, but I've trained our 3.5-year-old to tell Will that this is the last baby. so anyway, yes, something that we're looking forward to for sure. All right, Chris, what's been going on with you?
You've been out on PTO.
Yeah, I've been out the last 2 weeks because tomorrow will be 2 weeks since our son was born. And so I shared at Summit that my wife and I were pregnant with our first. And here is Charlie Leaf Dolan. And we are excited to celebrate our first Christmas together with him. So in addition to many things that I mentioned at Summit, being a hard year and just trying to focus on really spending a lot of time in prayer and scripture and journaling. Those routines have quickly shifted in the last 2 weeks, but hopefully will be a big part of our lives as he continues to grow. And it's been fun sitting and watching him make different expressions, and just love having that addition to our family. So here's the last one.
Awesome.
This
Congratulations.
is my favorite.
Today's your first day back from paternity leave.
Yeah. So if I'm a little foggy, I've caught up. I've gotten through most of my emails, not all of them. So I owe a few people responses, and been in quite a few meetings. Not gotten a ton of sleep over the last 2 weeks, but learning how to survive on less sleep, and just really excited to be back on the team, and going to be sharing some updates on things that are really close to being released and you should see in the new year. So we're really excited.
So great. So we drew straws to see who got to follow that, because nobody wants to follow, super cute baby and another, 3rd trimester announcement for the Whitworths. So a lot of fun stuff going on here. On the business front, we'll start with the services team. I'll share that, and we'll just go around the horn with the different teams. The services team is core to what we do, which is why we wanted to start there. As you know, or hopefully you know, that we invest in services and innovation. So every dollar that we make, and actually then some, we put into serving and building new technology. So what that looks like for the client success team is that that team is on the front line when things don't work as planned. Then they are the frontline support, being shoulder to shoulder, locking arms with you and your staff and your team, hopefully responding quickly and finding resolution. So you've probably heard this before, again, if you've been around at all, and I'm going to share it again because it's there's a heart behind what we do, but there are metrics also that are just a historical look back on how are we doing. Can we objectively quantify some things to know if we're maintaining, growing, dropping back? So we have high standards. That probably the 2 biggest key performance indicators for that team are initial response time, because it's frustrating when something's not working. You want to hear back quickly. So industry average is 19.1 hours, and we watch ours. It typically hovers right about an hour. Sometimes it's under an hour, sometimes it's over. Year to date, we've been running at 65 minutes. So we're a little bit over our KPI, which is that hour mark. But hopefully it's something significantly better than you would find most places. We continue to maintain that benchmark for ourselves. So I'm super proud of the team. They work incredibly hard. So hopefully you've got a good experience. We measure your experience by the second KPI, which is client satisfaction or customer satisfaction. I think they call it CSAT. So our CSAT rating in the industry, the average is 94%. And basically that's when you have an issue at the end of it, if you fill out the survey that says from, very satisfied to not satisfied, folks that rate satisfied and highly satisfied, on average, you get those 2 ratings 94% of the time. And for our team year to date, It's been 98.7% of the time. I would have said 99, but Will ran the numbers and he told me 98.7. So I'm going with 98.7. But again, really proud of that team for their heart for the churches we serve and the work that we get to do. The team's grown. Wanted to highlight Stacy, who joined on our team from, I think she'd been with Highland Park United Methodist Church, which is a hometown favorite of mine. It's where I started kind of my own personal journey with the Lord. But they are a church that was across the street from my house when I was growing up. They're a really great church here in Dallas. But Stacy was on staff there for 16 years. And we work in partnership with them as she was kind of navigating what's next for me. We worked with HPUMC to let this be an option, and they blessed, and it's been a great experience. So I wanted to call it Stacy and just say, if you're on, thanks for being on the team and the way that you're serving. So that's a high level update on services. We'll get into consulting and consulting up next with Chris.
Yeah, on the consulting front, this has just continued to grow as more and more churches have partnered with us to really get the most out of TouchPoint. As you know, TouchPoint is a very robust and customizable solution. But in order to take advantage of some of those features, it takes a little bit of setup and a little bit of customization. And so Andrew and team have been doing an amazing job working with churches and doing some really creative things, everything from automating the connection card process for churches with notifications to there's a church that moved to a kind of a parish model where there's different neighborhoods where they have lay leaders that are responsible for various people, and we have automations that can run queries and update groups so that people are in the correct directories and people have the correct permissions and everybody knows who they're responsible for. And it's a pretty cool thing. So there's all kinds of options. If you haven't considered consulting, if there are key things that you are trying to do and streamline your ministry and make them more efficient, we'd highly recommend you email consulting@touchpointsoftware.com. Usually it's in kind of like half day increments where a church would come with their problems or ideas and work with Andrew and team to come up with some creative solutions. Sometimes it's new reports to measure success for your church, because every church does things slightly different. And so we want to be there to help you think through how to do that the best way within TouchPoint. And so it's been really cool to see some of the things that have come out of that over the last year.
All right. So next up, training and marketing. So of course, a big highlight for 2021 was being in person together again at Summit. We ended up with about 160. And in fact, I'm not going to say about, it was exactly 160 registrants. And so that was just wonderful for, still being in the pandemic. It was just a great time to come and to network and, honestly, it was a great time for the TouchPoint team to be in person again as well. But it was really wonderful to be able to see so many of our church partners. And big thank you to Bellevue. They were wonderful hosts to us. And it was just it was an incredible time together.
Haley, I got to inject here. If you're on this call and you're either not familiar with Summit or you've never been to a Summit, I highly encourage you. At the end of the call, we're going to share details for the 2022 Summit. We're really excited. This is like a do not miss event. It is a great time to network with other churches, a great time to learn about everything that we've been busy innovating on over the last year. We have workshops that are practical in the database. We have kind of high level theoretical workshops that help you think through challenges that different churches face and come up with creative solutions. So this is an amazing time. We have a lot of fun together. And again, we would love to see every one of our partner churches at the 22 Summit, and we'll share details at the end of the call. So hopefully you can mark your calendars and not miss it.
Absolutely. So if you're taking notes on today's call, you'll want to make note of these 4 things. So definitely Summit. You don't want to miss that. Great opportunity for networking, for learning about TouchPoint. Numerous churches have told me about the connections that they have made at this year's Summit, and that they are still in regular communication with those who are in similar roles from other churches. And then kind of the next thing on the marketing and education front are webinars. So that's a great way to really dig deeper into the product. So for 2021, we had a new webinar series that was launched, and it's our What's the Point series. So kind of the tagline for What's the Point is that we discuss various ministerial functions within the church and the not so obvious reasons behind them. Michael Faulkner, he is our head of solutions, and he leads that webinar series. In 2022, I know some of you will be excited about this. We're going to bring back our new features webinar. And so it's going to be quarterly. We'll rotate it with our What's the Point series. So Chris, and in fact, I'll say Chris and I will mostly be hosting those. I'll be out for the first one. It'll be after the baby's born, but we're both excited to bring those back. And then the next thing, so number 3, touch pointers. So that is a new segment that is hosted by Andrew. So he shares tips that you guys can use for just bettering your church's ministry. And if you haven't checked those out, we send them out about twice a month. And they're just very short 1 to 2 minute videos that will educate you on a particular feature inside of TouchPoint. So in case you're not aware that you're able to do X, Y, or Z inside of TouchPoint, Andrew shows us about that. And we have another one coming out Monday. And then lastly, the TouchPoint Minute. So that is our monthly newsletter, and we had a refresh of it this year. So that's a great way to stay in the know about the product, the team, any webinars, any other updates. And in just a little bit, we'll be sure to share a link for you guys so that you can make sure that you're subscribing to the TouchPoint Minute. Actually, speaking of refreshes, we are excited that we just refreshed our website. It just went live this week. So the education marketing team, we've also been pretty busy, and we're excited about all of those things.
So we're going to share some information on product and feature development. Chris is going to share a brief look back and then kind of some things that are going forward. But before we do, I just wanted to give a quick update on kind of business status and growth. We have welcomed on several new churches, which we are grateful for. We have seen several different denominations join. We've seen some new friends from a big church in Philly. There's a hometown favorite in Dallas. That's one of the biggest churches in Dallas that joined us. There's another church in Dallas that works with an organization to help support inner city development with kids, specifically around music and stuff, that I've been volunteering at for probably 15 years or more, that I love. I'm not supposed to drop names, but Preston Hollow Pres, I'm so excited that you guys are on. So there are a lot of favorites. It's great to work with new folks, and obviously with our churches that we just have deepening relationships with. So I would describe things as we have healthy, sustainable growth right now. We're ahead on most of our KPIs, almost all of our metrics that we told the board back in the beginning of the year. We're ahead on almost all of them. Q1, things were fairly slow, but then since Q2, it's just been, things have really been, we've been ahead on almost every metric that we report back to as we kind of measure our growth, making sure that it's good and healthy, that it's sustainable, and that it's not too much, that we're not out too far over our skis, I think is the analogy. So things are going well. I think it'd be important to share from a staff perspective. We've worked with a lot of different organizations where they've seen turnover outpacing what it has historically, and those are real challenges. We thankfully, our staff retention has been, it's been solid. It's actually been, I mean, knock on wood or praise the Lord, it's been, we've retained our team, and our team feels engaged and motivated to serve you, to serve each other. So I don't take that for granted. It's an incredible team that we get to work with. So I want to just report that, everybody's working hard, but I hope that people would say that they find value from each other and meaning in their work. So that's kind of state of the business. What you're probably here to kind of get most of an update on is features and development. So Chris, I'll hand the microphone back over to you on that front.
Yeah, so I'm not going to talk as much about what happened this last year because a lot of you all were at Summit, and all these things are things that we've been blogging about and we see that many churches are taking advantage of. I do want to call out one feature that I'm really excited about, just because we've done a lot, but it's been so cool to see the creative new uses for this tool. So as many people know, we completely rebuilt task and contacts from the ground up to be task and notes. And churches are really using that. Lots of you on this call. And if you're not using it, I would highly encourage you to check it out. We have some videos, some blog posts. If you need help figuring out creative uses, talk to consulting about that. Because we are seeing real ministry happening with that tool. And it's so fun. Everything from new visitor follow-up to hospital visits and follow-up visits to churches using it to prevent people from falling through the cracks, assigning tasks to people that maybe haven't had a touch or people haven't seen at the church in a while. And so there's some really amazing things and ways that we're seeing that used. And if you're not using it, I strongly encourage you to maybe set a New Year's resolution that in 2022, you start using task and notes. It's a very powerful feature. It integrates with the mobile app beautifully. And in talking about new features, I'll start on the mobile front. We are in beta on our 6th app release of 2021. And so our goal is to get that out before Christmas. It might be the 1st of January, but if everything tests out properly, we'll be releasing our 6th version. And there's some really exciting things coming to that, including a new prayer request feature that is part of and integrated closely with the task and notes feature. So people will be able to submit prayer requests. They can submit them anonymously, logged in, not logged in, and it can show up in the notes or even be assigned as a task where you can assign those prayer requests for different people to be praying for. So very cool feature. You'll be hearing about more in the coming weeks as we finalize testing. We're actually in the final testing on that. Got the update on it this morning. It was almost completely done before I left, and apparently it's all been signed off on. We're just doing the final beta testing now with a few churches. So very excited about that. There's many other features coming as well to the next release. But one of the things that I'll call out is something we didn't talk about at Summit that is a new announcement today that we'll be releasing in the first part of 2022, which is group messaging. And so the idea behind that is, say, you could use this for lots of different groups, but it's based on an involvement, and you'll be able to turn on messaging per involvement. And then similar under the profile where you have involvements, there's going to be a new section for messaging, and any groups that you're in that has messaging turned on, you'll have a chat feature. So this would be a great way for community groups to be able to message each other, as opposed to having to use a third-party chat tool or something. It all can be done right there within your church's custom mobile app. And it's a really great benefit because it encourages your group leaders to keep their rosters up to date, and they can use our tool to take attendance and keep the rosters up to date right there within the mobile app. So that is a really cool feature that we didn't announce at Summit, but as I said at Summit, that was only kind of a highlight reel, and there's lots more that we plan to do, and this is one of those. A few others that I'll call out. Let's see, everything is wrapping up nicely on the volunteer scheduler. Showed off kind of the first version of that at Summit, and people are really excited about that. We should be in beta on that in January. We're wrapping up the final things. We've been making some UI, UX tweaks based on some feedback we've already gotten, and we're really excited. It actually, I don't even want to call it the volunteer scheduler because churches have already come up with ideas for how to use that for things beyond scheduling just volunteers. You could schedule it, nursery workers or paid workers and things like that. It's a very powerful tool and very flexible. We are underway on some new registration pages, including a new one-page registration So instead of stepping through multiple different pages, it'll all be in one simple page. We're really excited to be releasing that in 2022, as well as I think in the newsletter, Haley, I think we mentioned that Protect My Ministry is getting some updates. That is in final testing right now. I think because of some of the changes to how that's going to work, we're not going to be releasing that until early January, but that is very close. The merge controller is getting some updates, and check-in is getting some major enhancements as well. So you'll read about this in the blog. If you're not already using web check-in, we strongly encourage you to move over to that in January. We're going to actually be pushing people from the iOS and Android apps over to that with an update, and the legacy version is not going to be supported with a lot of these new features. So please start using the new web check-in, reach out to support. We've got great documentation on it. It's a really great tool, and there's a lot of powerful features, including, I won't share all of them, but I'll share two things. We are standardizing the way grade is recorded to really simplify that, and we're adding a checkout feature. Lots more, including some enhancements to check-in dashboard, the classroom dashboard, the way labels are handled. There's some really cool things, but I'm not going to mention all of it. Just mention those few key things to look out for in the new year.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, that's exciting stuff. And also thanks to everybody there have been several good questions and comments and ideas and things in the Q&A. So thanks for all of that. In closing, I kind of drew the long straw, whatever the opposite of the short straw is, to announce Summit. I mean, I think Haley should probably announce it, but I'm on the agenda to announce it. Haley probably puts more work into that than all the rest of us combined. So I don't want to steal your thunder. I'll give you credits. But I agree with Chris. If you haven't been to Summit before, mark your calendars, do whatever you can to get there. It's a great time. We've heard some feedback, and we're continuing to try and make it more dynamic and more engaging. So mark your calendars. I'll share this screen with you in a second if I can figure out how to do this effectively. But September 14 through 16, I think is the right date. We'll email this out. And I'll give you a couple hints while I try and figure out how to share this. Our host churches, I should start with them to say thank you to our host churches. We have two of them. Hill Country Bible Church and Great Hills will be hosting us in the live music capital of the world, TouchPoint Summit in Austin, Texas. So thanks to our hosts, we're really excited to go to Austin. It is a fun place. If you have been there, you know what I mean. If you haven't been there, we are going to, Lord willing, we will have some fun things to do there. So there's the bridges that you see on this picture. There are bat tours where like a gazillion bats. I think it's literally like 4 million bats come out of the bridge every night. So we may go down there. We may do live music. There's lots that we've got that we're dreaming about, but we're planning on being in the Hill Country in Austin in the fall. Pray for good weather, that it's not too hot. So Haley, you might confirm these dates. I put these on here. I don't know if they're right. Are they right? Okay, good. Mm-hmm. So Austin, Texas, yes. 2022.
All right. So just a couple of things in closing for me. We do have a new Touch Pointers video coming out on Monday, so be sure to check that out. Our next What's the Point webinar will be at the end of next month, so after the new year. It'll be January 27th. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be rotating in quarterly our new features webinars. And so you can look forward to the next new features webinar at the end of March. If you are not subscribed to the TouchPoint Minute, that is our monthly newsletter that goes out, we're going to include a link in the chat so that you can subscribe to that. And in fact, if we don't include a link in the chat, we'll just include a link as we send this out, because I'm not seeing a traditional chat in this one. So we'll just make sure we include a link. Oh, I'm getting word that it is in the chat. So thank you, Katie, for doing that. All right, Chris, anything you want to share?
Just a thank you. Thank you for tuning in at the end of the year. And thank you for letting us be your partner in ministry. We love working alongside of you and providing technology that hopefully helps make your jobs easier, helps you know your people better, and helps you serve them better. So it is a true honor to work alongside of you all, and just thank you for being with us during this time. And thanks for partnering up with us in 2021. And we are excited to continue serving alongside of you in 2022. So Merry Christmas, God bless. And thank you, everyone. I was hoping Charlie was going to make a cameo appearance, but my wife said that he just fell asleep. So,
all right. Well, yeah. Thanks, everybody. I guess that's a wrap. Merry Christmas. We're grateful for you. Have a great
everyone.
end of year.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.